Hello and welcome back to the channel for one of my very infrequent vlogs. Today I am sat in the conservatory in the nice bit where it doesn't look too messy. But yes, I am. So I'm not going to do some sort of fancy title to lure you in. I've called this OM-3 the unicorn camera for a number of personal reasons. But hopefully if I talk through them, you'll understand why, for me, it works really, really well. So what we're talking about is this. The OM-3 that came out earlier this year. Bottom line up front, the bluff. I really like it. I think it's an excellent camera. It's kind of going back towards where Micro43s was originally. And I think that's no bad thing if you want to differentiate yourself in the market. But what I want to talk about is, I'll talk about my requirements, why it works for me. I'll talk about from the perspective of an amateur. I'll talk about how I've got complementary systems now this year, which I think makes a difference. And I'll talk about a few of the things I learned while using it, especially on a few holidays that I've done. So we'll talk about that. And the last bit, we'll talk about the customization that's available with it, which I think is kind of really important. So let's get into it. And I'll throw up a little bit of video that I shot with it when I first got it. And then we'll talk a bit more about my requirements. I am very demanding of my cameras in terms of what I want them to do. For no other reason than I don't shoot one particular genre. And I find that I don't want to have multiple cameras that I do. You know, there's one camera for astro and one camera for portraits and one camera for landscapes and one camera for street. And I don't want that. I kind of want a tool that will do all of it and do it to the 90th percentile. So because I like my photography and I like it being varied, I've wanted something that would do that. Now, my requirements have always been, I want weight and size are the main things. I have tried Sony cameras before anybody else, and yes, they're very good, but I can't get on with them. But the fact you can't get away from is good glass on full frame is heavy and big. It's just the nature of optics. You can't do really anything about that. Sorry, good. By good, I mean fast. Yes, there are some exceptions, but they're limited. And they're getting better, but still, sensor size will dictate how things go. I also want cameras that are discreet. So although I've had the OM-1, EM1 Mark III, I've had Canon DSLRs, they always stand out. And I want something that is just nice and discreet, and I can just, especially when you're doing things like street, you just blend into the background. You're not stood out like a sore thumb. And I think it's been really difficult up until now to find something. The OM-1 will do, you know, it'll do action and really, really well. I've had Fujis that do landscapes beautifully, but I wanted something that was small, compact, take anywhere, any time of the year, and that's where this comes in. Now, I said earlier on about complementary systems. So one of the things I did about a year ago now is I bought myself a Fuji GFX 50S II, medium format, because to me, if you want to complement, and there are limitations with Micro Four Thirds, we all know what they are, I don't really give a shite about them, but if you want to kind of acknowledge those and do something about it, then the best way to do that is by looking for something that complements it. For me, when I do woodland, where the light can sometimes be less and so you need good dynamic range and those sorts of features, then actually the GFX is the perfect tool. So at the weekend I took it out, it was raining, but I had a weather sealed lens on, so I could wander around a wood and it never fazed me. And it wouldn't have fazed me with this camera, to be perfectly honest, but I bought that for a very specific reason. For everything else, I've got this. This camera is in essence an EM1 Mark II with a slightly downgraded viewfinder. All right, maybe the physical shutter isn't quite as quick, but still has all the tracking algorithms, still has all the computational photography. It still can do 120 frames a second. Excellent. So, as a tool, it's kind of got everything I want. One of the things I did very early with this was we went on holiday to Portugal and we were staying near where there were flamingos, and I kind of hoped that I'd go and see some flamingos, but it never happened, unfortunately. But I did take this, which is the glorious, see if you can get it. It's the glorious Panasonic 200 f2.8. To this day, I still say it's one of the most underrated, unappreciated lenses in the Micro Four Thirds ecosystem. And yes, it's expensive, but sugar me, it's sharp. And you would have thought that I would have needed, you know, a G9 or an OM-1 to really balance it. But if I just put it on now, it's not actually that bad. I mean, yes, it hasn't got the hood on that comes out to about here, but it's not that bad. So I could fit this in my hand luggage and take it with me, and I'll put up some shots of that I got of some Iberian magpies, just to kind of show you what this combo can do. And it's a very, you know, I was impressed. I mean, I've always been impressed by this lens, but actually this little thing, nailed it. So from a lens point of view, it worked really well. From a travel point of view, as I swap lenses on camera, we did interrailing this year, which means I take a stripped down kit as much as possible. That kit is the Panasonic Leica 12-60 on the OM-3, and then possibly, along with Dave Griffiths, I agree, my favourite Micro Four Thirds lens, the Panasonic Leica 15mm 1.7, which is a beautiful lens and is a focal length that works perfectly for me. And that was the kit. And I never needed anything else. I don't think I had the little 35 to 100 with me, but I did have the 40 to 150 Plastic Fantastic. I only used that a few times, to be honest. The ability to use the live graduated ND, the ability to do some of the computational stuff, the high res, meant that I could get all the shots I needed in camera. And I don't really know what to say else. I think you're getting the idea that I quite like it. Because of the image stabilization, one of the other things I quite like doing now is getting hold of vintage lenses. So the one I picked up the other day from Japan was this. This is the Voigtlander 75mm 2.5. It's an M42 mount. So it's a screw mount. So you can adapt it straight onto the body. And I'm going to be trying this with street photography. I've wanted a Voigtlander lens for ages, and this is meant to be very, very good. So that's useful. I mean, I know there are mirrorless cameras now you can adapt lots to, but sorry, I just screwed that on. I've got that, and then I've got another lens I picked up this year. Get it? This is the Panasonic 40mm 2.8 Pancake. It's the original. I bought it for film, but it fits quite nicely on this camera. So I think going forward there'll be lenses that I'll take out, especially when doing street. And speaking of street, the most ridiculous lens I think I own. 7 Artisans 18mm 6.3. I think it was £40, but it's good enough that the photo I took with it is on display in an exhibition, which is the Blackfriars image I took, and you can find in the Thumbs Up exhibition, which is in 3 Snows Hill, Bristol, which is in 3 Snows Hill, Birmingham. But yeah, so the ability to kind of adapt some of the smaller vintage lenses I think is really useful. So let me show you some of the images and a bit more video that I've taken with the OM-3, so you can kind of see what I mean by it being effectively a unicorn camera. We've circled back to the start now, haven't we?
Somebody's
Swiss Army knife. You can put on the tiny 7 artisans lens, put it in your pocket and go and do some street at effectively 35mm. It'll work just as well as if I go to Upton Warren, take this. I haven't brought the 150-600 down because that's just hilarious seeing on there, to do some birding. They both will work just as well as anything else. If I got an OM-1 Mark II, it'd make no difference because it's the same internal setup, allowing for the viewfinder and the buffer size. But you know, they're edge cases. They're not the core. The last thing I wanted to talk about is, and if you watch any influencers or other vloggers, is this little dial here that does the custom profiles. So you have the ability to have 4 colour and 4 black and white custom profiles. But actually you've got 5 custom settings. So theoretically, you could save 48 recipes, like the Fuji's, onto this camera. I wouldn't recommend it because you'd just get lost. But what I have found, and I'll put some images up, is I've created a recipe that is based on the work of Daido Moriyama, and it's a really kind of crunchy black and white look. And this camera gives me fantastic JPEGs, ones that I really love. And as much as I loved the XT1 when I had it, the Fuji XT1, this is as good. There are also some really good websites. I'll put them in the descriptions. You can find, I have a Google spreadsheet that I kind of collate people's recipes onto, so you can go and find that. And there's a couple of guys, Ian Wills, I think it is, has a really good website that shows you how to create different recipes and what they look like. And even OM are now starting to kind of engage with it and so forth. The process for creating them off JPEGs is something I will do in another vlog at a different time. I'm still trying to get the process down on par. But when I do, I'll put something out about it, and it doesn't seem to be that difficult. But yeah, so all in all, if you're looking for a small camera and you like Micro Four Thirds, or even if you don't like Micro Four Thirds, you want something that you can travel with. I mean, you could stick portrait lenses on this. It'll do everything. So give it a look, because I think it's fabulous. It's the first time I've bought a camera and gone, I think I found it. And it's very difficult. Any photographer will know not to go, oh, I need to look at a new camera. But actually, why? Why? I think it'll do me for a long time. I really do. My only problem now is stopping myself buying the new OM-50-200 2.8 to replace a lens I love. But I just can't bring myself to do it. Also, I don't have the money, which thank God for that. So I think I'm going to be stuck with this for a while. But yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching this. I hope I haven't rabbited on too much. I hope it's enjoyable. I hope it gives you something to think about. And it gives a user's performance, and it gives a user's perspective on this camera after using it for 8-9 months and going and using it, you know, on holiday where you kind of never sure what you're going to see. Doing bird photography, I think it's something that it deserves more praise and uptake than perhaps it's getting at the moment, when people just see it as either something for street or, you know, an add-on. I don't think it is. I think it's more than that. So thank you for watching. I'll catch you up when I've finished rabbiting on another time. Cheers for now.